Hello, everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Nation Radio Not So Normal. Denise might be running a little late tonight, so we'll continue on. But we've got a great, fantastic guest with us here. So, everybody in the chat room, I want you to welcome Carter Buschardt with us. Hey, Carter, how you doing?
How's it going, Carl? What's happening?
Hey, I'm getting ready for a snowstorm tonight.
Yeah, I hear we're gonna have one.
Yeah, I guess we're supposed to get up 3-4 inches up here north of
Yeah,
you.
yeah, we're getting about the same. Although.
Well, we got 5 inches the other day.
Oh, we had a dusting, literally, just that was it.
Right. Well, you go 13 miles south of us to Hamilton, and they had less than 2 inches.
Yeah,
And then a little bit further north of us, there's reports of 7.5 to 8 inches up there.
yeah, and it's always a crapshoot. I don't believe that the weatherman just tell you 14 different options so they can keep their jobs. I don't believe any of it.
Exactly. Well, I look at it this way. So far before that storm hit, the only snow we've had was a trace up here. So that was our actually first big snowstorm. And here we are at the end of January.
Yeah, it's been pretty mild. I'm content with it.
I was content with it. We just had that real cold spell come through for a few days that tore everybody up.
Got a week here in Kansas City, Liberty, Missouri. It was teens and under. 0, -1 or 2 with wind. For
right.
What about?
There's my co-host. I knew
you.
That's all right.
I was training people on how to do their job.
I was trying to steal.
Oh, but yeah, well, that's no problem. We got the show started. We're just
catching
up on the
hamburger.
I don't know. I haven't had one either.
Oh, she went to Whataburger.
I went for breakfast this morning.
Since we got them here, I've ate there once. Every other day.
That's not every other day.
Every day.
I haven't ate at any of them yet.
I grew up in Texas with Whataburgers.
Yeah.
And I used to kind of like them at the time, like way back in the 70s, 80s. But now that I've had them, I'm going, what was I thinking? They just don't have the heavy.
They're missing something.
Unhealthy, greasy burger taste you want,
Well, none of the fast food places have burgers that we grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Hardee's.
Hardee's isn't as good as
the
it
big
used
one at one time.
Well, I grew up in St. Louis. We had White Castles, and they just you try White Castle anywhere else, they don't taste right.
No, each one's different.
It's like the grills. Like I think
Seasoned.
Denise said it's something to do with the grills because the newer ones it's not seasoned.
Yeah,
right. You got to season.
It's like using a cast iron skillet.
Yeah,
exactly. If you don't season a cast iron skillet, it ain't going to taste good.
Yeah, it does taste different.
But I tell you, if I'm looking for a burger, it depends on what area I'm in, and I want the Habit is the best burger in Las Vegas. The Habit burger is the best. I don't care what you say about In-N-Out. In-N-Out's good, but the Habit's better. In-N-Out is probably was the only place I've ever eaten in Kingman, Arizona. So I know I can talk about.
Well, some of your best burgers are usually the ones that used to come from the small county fairs.
Yeah,
they had the best thin burger, greasy, just
I don't want mine greasy. I want it to taste good.
Oh, I do. The grease is good for my body.
Well, that's because you have no weight.
No,
but
I burn up more than I can eat.
But I'll tell you, Five Guys. I love Five Guys. They season their burgers right and they taste good. Whataburger doesn't put enough seasoning on their burger. It doesn't. Yeah. It just tastes like plain meat, and their meat is good. I mean, I'm not.
Really?
But at this point, I would much rather have a burger from Culver's than Whataburger.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
they don't season it here.
They don't season them at all. I don't know what it is.
Really?
They lack They lack
I
flavor.
have to get mine unseasoned.
Right.
Usually.
Yeah. The,
So anyway,
And for
Carter,
more
what's
dining tips, join us tomorrow at 7:00.
right? So
We'll
what's
show you how
going
to
on
cook
in
them
the
burgers.
Bigfoot
Hey.
world out there, Carter?
What is going on?
we're having Kobe burgers tonight.
Oh, Kobe
Beef.
Kobe beef.
So I
You
just
can't
bought them
hardly
today
mess
at
that up.
Hy-Vee.
You can't hardly mess it up.
Right. So what's been going on in the Bigfoot world, Carter?
Well, like I was telling you earlier, my third book just came out. I haven't. I have gotten a new habituation family that is coming up with just the weirdest stuff. I mean, it's awesome, but it's so fantastical. You kind of have to be there to see it to actually believe what's going on. But so I've been kind of busy with them, and like I was telling you, we're trying to design a camera trap. It's a very unique situation down there, so we're trying to figure that out. But it's I had a witness like 10 years ago, and he had 2 Class A's, and he's from Eminence, Missouri, Ellington Eminence area. He now lives in the Potosi area. He's had 2 awesome encounters. I went squatching with him and his family and had all kinds of events, fishing, and just squatching at night. And now this family are related to him. They're his second and third cousins and uncles and cousins, straight cousins. And they have 4 households in this area, and they are all having activity, but this one where they're growing vegetables. This juvenile Sasquatch is coming in and going to sleep, eating vegetables at night out of the greenhouse and just falling asleep. He ran out of the greenhouse one night. My guy caught him, and it ran by him and brushed up against him. Just think about that for a second. There's this kid, he's probably 25 or less. He's just a young kid. And the Sasquatch had been eating strawberries and the tops off of his radishes. And he kept finding stuff eating, but he couldn't figure out what the deal was. And so one night he heard a bunch of screaming and yelling, a bunch of noise coming from his greenhouse. And like I was telling you, Carl, he was on his way out there and he heard a bunch of screaming coming out of the woods. And then he heard screaming coming from inside of the greenhouse where the juvenile Sasquatch was trapped, because my owner was coming in to find out who the hell was broken into their greenhouse. He opens the door, making a longer story shorter, and this juvenile Squatch, 6.5 feet tall, screams and runs bloody murder out the front door and runs right by him and rushes up against him. I mean, literally, they could have kissed. So it's awesome stuff, and that picture I was showing you, it's in the book. I don't think I had time to, because I just got the book Friday. I'll show you guys this picture. See that picture?
With the one with the feet?
No,
the other side.
Oh, okay. The one that looks like a clown.
Yeah,
well,
wait
it's a
until
Sasquatch with its face pressed up against the plastic on the inside of the greenhouse looking out. It left that face print. He's got 2 other face prints that aren't really nearly as good. They're of either shorter juveniles, or they're juveniles that are down on their hands and knees looking, and they're all doing the same thing. They're pushing their face up against the plastic, looking out. And so that they can see if anybody's coming, then they run out with all their stolen vegetables. It's a killer photo. It's just, when you see this, I mean,
how high up was it?
6.5 feet.
Oh, wow.
that shows everything.
It shows
except the eyes.
everything. It shows the eye sockets.
Yeah.
If I could show this to you, Chloe, you can see the hair on the forehead, the
The
wing
nose,
to the side, the nose,
the
the
mouth.
mouth, the chin, the hair on the face.
It's an amazing picture.
It is
It is.
And you know what? It's taken with a freaking camera phone.
Everything is anymore.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
look how good that is. Of course, my wife's Apple phone
Yep.
takes pictures, circles around me on my Samsung.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Look how close that is.
That is amazing.
It definitely looks like one of the clown pictures that used to hang on the wall at my grandmother's house.
Yeah, it's and there's 2 other pictures here. So here's the door where this creature, and see that handprint up there?
Yeah.
The door. Okay, that's 6.5 feet in the air. Here's his hand. Now again, that's on the inside of the greenhouse. That handprint. His hand is on the outside, putting it up there for comparison. His hand is 7.5 inches from the base of his palm to the tip of his middle finger. That hand is 4 inches taller than his.
So they said this Bigfoot got stuck in there.
He got trapped.
How'd it get in?
It eats all its vegetables and just falls asleep. Then you see where it's all bedded down. I mean, it's all if you go in there, a lot of his vegetables and grass and stuff are just tamped down. This creature.
How'd it get in? Through the door and just shut the door?
It just walked in.
That's what bears do.
Locked itself in.
That's what bears do. They accidentally lock themselves in someplace and they tear it up.
Well, you ever seen a bear open a car door? I mean, they can open a house. That's not that big a deal. And the door that was on there in the first place is one of those kind of cheaper, like latch where you kind of push it or lift it up, a real cheap screen door. And so it was going in and out, and he couldn't figure out who was coming in there unless it was a person coming on the property. So, and they have a few cameras, but they're not equipped to do something like this because you only really have one chance not to blow this by getting a really good photo.
Right.
So we're trying to figure out. I have it figured out. I have to probably build something.
So when did this happen?
This happened that the first time where he brushed up against that would have been middle to late June of this year, because I went down there first week or 10 days of July.
Oh, okay. So
it had just happened.
So those pictures in that book are taken from this last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. In the last 6 months.
Yeah, that's not long. Yeah, 6 months ago.
Yeah. And so I know his dad, he still lives at home with his dad and mom. They grow tons of vegetables. They bake. They make candies and breads and pies. It's a true rural farming community, how they make extra money. And they need it, and so that's why he was getting so torqued off, because this, somebody, and they were pretty sure it was neighbors until they figured out, oh my, it's not neighbors. And they've seen these squatches just walking around casually, looking behind the trees, watching them do their chores and walk back. I mean, I was out there. We heard a couple of knocks, got a whoop returned. I mean, part of the reason for this book is to tell people that this stuff is really going on, along with some incredible paranormal quantum type things that you just cannot explain. And they're going on, and I'm putting these in books because I got so many people come to me wanting to tell their stories after the second book, because nobody was paying attention to them. They're laughing at them, just going, yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. It just disappeared. Okay. What are you smoking? So these people are coming through the woodwork, and I've got other stories. I mean, it's just mind boggling. And you know what? I keep saying this, a lot of people don't believe me, and that's fine. But, they don't want anything. These people don't want anything. They just want someone to listen to their story. They don't want any money. I'll give them a free book. I'll put their story in a book. I'll give them a book, but they don't want anything. They just want someone to listen with some respect and give them an intelligent discourse on what this was or was not. I mean,
they want to know exactly.
Am I crazy?
Am I imagining this, or is it really happening?
Yeah.
And
it is happening. Now, I've gotten so much crap for this book cover.
Mhm.
Why? Why?
Well, the top picture shows my witness. This is another property.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Walking off. They go out and check their cameras. I've been to this property twice. 4 seconds later, that Sasquatch hand appears on the camera. Same camera.
Yeah.
4 seconds.
Yeah.
The-
That's long enough to get for a good, catch of the screen,
yeah, but everyone says, well, there's no way. There's no way he didn't see that. There's no way he didn't know.
It could have been in the tree.
They
It
they
could
can
have been.
sneak out. Look at, I'll give you a perfect example. They say, well, you would hear it walking up. I deer hunt a lot,
Yeah.
right? I've been standing on the ground, not hear a noise or anything, and turn around and have a deer standing 2 foot behind me that walked up to me.
Yeah.
And we're talking 150, 180 pound deer
Yeah.
through leaves and branches and bushes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why can't Bigfoot do the exact same thing?
Exactly.
They learn to walk a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to sneak up on an animal other than run them down? But
Yeah. And there's other possibilities, that this was a paranormal type thing where it materialized, it had changed its vibrational frequency, and this guy, the reason I believe him, of course, a lot of people are going, well, people lie. He's a preacher. I've looked him in the eye. I've talked to him, him and his buddy who owns the land. And I just said, is this real? Is this staged or anything? No, this is what I got. In fact, when I went out there to meet him, when he first called me with this photo,
Mm-hmm.
the handprint, I went out there and met him and the owner of the land. And he said, I think I've got a photo of this handprint appearing like 10 or 12 seconds after I tripped the camera. I'll try to find it. Well, when I got back, we were doing a shoot down there for a pilot that never got off the ground. And he said, well, here's the photo. I'm going to send it to you. Well, it was 4 seconds, not 10 or 12. So everybody's going, that's the greatest photo I've ever seen, or that is the biggest fake I've ever seen. It's nothing in between, Well, that was staged, Well, it could have been there the whole time and just appeared and disappeared. I know a lot of people don't embrace that theory, but you have
it could be like a skinwalker. It could change. It could be standing there like a tree.
Yeah.
And you turn around and a handprint in front of you, it could have vaporized right into space.
How many times you been on their property?
Twice.
Twice?
Yeah. Now,
will they let you out there anytime? Or
yeah, I can go anytime I want. Nobody lives. This is about 25 acres that the hand photo was taken. It's just hunting. They don't live there. They got a little shed out there, like a shed you get like in Walmart or Lowe's or something,
Right.
So they can stay out of the elements. So yeah, I've been there. I went out there in January when he first sent me that photo, and I met them and walked the property. I spent the night there. A lot of structures. There's activity. I don't think any of these beings live on that property because it's not heavily forested. There's trees everywhere, but there's no undergrowth. It's just one of those rolling plains. I can't tell you the state, but it's in the Midwest. But it's not conducive to hiding, except this one little area where there's photos. They have like 30 some odd cameras there. They have most of them in triangular situations where there's one camera here and then there's one over here facing that camera. Then this camera is facing over here to another camera. They're all taking, so for hunting purposes, you triangulate, you don't miss any game. Well, this camera here happens to be on a clearing, and on the very backside, which you can see it, there's an above ground blind. Anyway, they got stuff going on out there. Something destroyed one of their trail cameras after I went out. The first time I went out there, when I went out in January last year, 2022 is when I met them. I left up a gifting area. Put some trinkets and some mirrors and some food and little baby kids' toys and just right there, right in the middle of all their cameras and everything. Well, something did not like it. It destroyed one of the cameras. It ripped the door off. It actually pulled the camera entirely off the tree by popping the strap. Just tore it right off. Tore the door off and was just going through it and just mangling the camera, just chewing it. Could have been a bear, but I don't think so because it took a bite out of the SD card, and now that SD card we can't read it. So it might have stuff on there. But I still have it because somebody wants $1,000 to read those things. Those guys that do all that.
Right.
They want $700 to $1,000, and there's no guarantee that there's any data on there. I think there is. But anyway, so they have activity, and the guy in the picture there, the guy in the camo suit, he's a preacher, and he had another event at another one of the properties he has, the owner, where he saw some really bizarre stuff, and he got into his religious upbringing and what he felt about that. So this is a hunter who happens to be a man of the cloth, and he has a whole other take on what he thought he saw, what he thought he felt, sensed. It's pretty interesting. I put that in the book, because it's a whole other version of an event you'll never hear,
Right.
Because he felt some satanic and some evil things going on at this other property when some of the things he saw could not exist, do not exist. A moose with razor sharp teeth, a deer morphing into a Sasquatch morphing back into a deer. He saw it, but he gets into a biblical interpretation of the events rather than a hunter.
Right.
It's biblical, and he was shown these things for a reason in his mind. So it was all just very interesting. But I got these people are just coming through, and it's an unusual cross section. There's a habituation property at another state on the far west. She's got some incredible gifting stuff going on. The interaction is it's almost comical. But I just put this last book because there's just people are sending me stuff that nobody will even talk to them. I said, well, I'm stupid enough to put it in a book. Send it to me. Because some of it's just fascinating.
Oh yeah. Well, we had who was it we had on, Denise, the other Bigfoot person?
Oh, Carl Supp.
Yeah, Carl Supp was on here. He had to go to Iowa to investigate one, and was coming back, and up here by Bethany, Missouri, on I-35.
Yeah.
He saw one standing in a pond on a hot day.
Yeah, going
Swimming.
Near Ridgeway.
Yeah, up by Ridgeway exit.
So I was out there swimming.
I-35?
Yep.
Yeah. My partner's seen a couple of them up there near Cameron, right near the prison. In fact, one of the reports was a female warden coming home, and she called it a report. And then a truck driver called a report.
Yeah, I know the truck driver called one down by the Holt Rest area. And
yeah, it's in that neighborhood. I think it's a conservation area on the east side of I-35 if you're going north.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems a lot of traffic, Sasquatch traffic, seems to be coming from that area, and they go across I-35 there, headed what looks like straight for the prison area.
Yeah, could very well be up there.
But,
and then a few years ago, the Bigfoot research organization was up here north of Gallatin, where I live at, a couple miles. They had a call up here. They got a imprint of a footprint up here that I know of. So, yeah, they're around.
Yeah, and it's just so frustrating, that the people that are having these events can't tell their story because most people, talk show people, podcasts, the interviewers, they just laugh them off.
Right.
You sure about, I mean, did you have a couple beer? I mean, you can just tell the dismissive nature of, and like I say, they just want to get it off their chest and see if they're, like you said, Carl, am I crazy? And I'm not, and am I meeting the entire lunatic fringe of the Sasquatch world? Are they only calling me because other people are getting calls from people like these trying to tell their stories, and they don't get anywhere, And
Yeah, but at least you go out there and investigate and see what they got.
Oh yeah,
A lot of them don't.
No, I'm boots on the ground. I've been doing this shit for, excuse my French.
That's all right.
12, 13 years, I've led 4 expeditions for BFRO. I've been, I've got 4 habituation properties. I monitor. If they call me, I'm there, and they don't call anybody else. I'm it, so I got stuff going on. I've done this long enough where there's certain things I would really like to do, like just go out and camp for about 3 or 4 days and not do anything. But right. I got things going on where they need some attention, eyes, camera, investigation, note taking, something. But it's just, and so when I put this book out, the cover, fake, just hateful. And that's the other part of the thing is, is we're investigating paranormal things, ghosts, Sasquatch, pale whites, Mothman, Dogman, anything. If somebody doesn't like it, they just scream fake. I mean, they have no logic. They just go, oh, that's bull. That's baloney. That's too good. That's fake. And that's what a lot of these photos fall into the category. Well, if it's too good, it's fake. And if it's crappy, well, of course, I told you they don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody ever said that around here? It's too good.
Heard it many a times.
Yeah. Well, Patterson Gimlin, that's a perfect example. That's too good, and it's proven and readily accepted not to be fake. But it only took 50, 60 years for people to come to that conclusion. But it's just not fair to dismiss things without having, you can call my stuff crap all day long, but explain to me why you think so. And let's discuss it. That's all we have to do is discuss, because everybody's got 2 different sides.
Well, your argument could go for politics as well.
Oh yeah, anything. No, it is. It's true. You just if you sit down and discuss, like we all want the same thing. All 4 of us sitting here, we want an answer. Mm-hmm. We want to know the truth. That's
and no matter what that truth is, makes no difference.
Right.
No,
just as long as it's true.
Yeah, it's
it.
The
as
facts.
long as you can verify it.
Yeah, and so now the stuff in my book, I will call it evidence of an event. It's something that happened, like that face pushing through the plastic. That's a freaking awesome photo. It's almost comical how stupid it is. If you saw some of these other photos I have, there's 2 other smaller ones on the ground, but the photos aren't nearly as good, so I just didn't show them. But you just go, the whole family's in there destroying his crops and eating all his food and all his profit. And they're just having the time of their life. They're in this heated, greenhouse when it's 12 degrees outside, and they're sweating and they're eating food and having, they're living the high life, but we can't discuss that, because if you don't prove it exactly to somebody's expectation or just their belief that, well, I don't believe that, that's baloney. I don't care what you tell me, I won't believe it, because that can't be. Well, what are we doing to each other? We're not competing with each other, but that's what it feels like. Everybody wants to be first. Everybody wants to get a body. Everybody wants to, have, well, my picture's better than your picture. That's not it. We're trying to get answers to any of these things.
Well, you're going back to the term paraunity.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes for all of these fields.
Let's say hi to Susan and Mike.
And
yep.
What I've decided I want to be? I've decided I want to be para-friendly. Paraunity doesn't mean anything if nobody else is going to live it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm para-friendly, and You can like it, you can leave it, you can tell me I'm full of it. I don't care. But there is no unity as long as there is drama and no open discussions. No, like you said, my picture's better than your picture. That's fine, but tell me why. Why is this
Why
person
is yours better than mine? You know.
why? Tell me why. So
Yeah.
educate me, and that's the thing I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing at times I'm seeing sharing, knowledge sharing, but I'm not seeing it where I think we should. Me sharing my event with you is one thing. Me sharing with you what I know, I'm more than willing to do that. But I don't always see it go both ways. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like right now, you're sharing everything you know. How many times have you shared everything you know to get nothing back from the person you're sharing with?
Enough to where I stop.
So you're para-friendly because para-unity hasn't worked for you.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think I'm on the wrong end of it because, and one thing I'm doing, I'm going to slowly divest myself of social media. I'm putting a brand new website together. Once that's put together, all my stuff's going to go on that website with a few references, but not because there's so much hate, and dismissiveness.
mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, and all these people that were dogging on me since Friday, Saturday, Sunday, yesterday, they were just trashing me with a few glowing, approvals, but mostly it was just like, and then it just festers off. Well, I look at some of the stuff on these people's site because I look at all the stuff that from the people that are trashing me. I go and look at their pages.
Right.
They got crap. I mean, I'm talking just garbage, and you're calling my stuff crap. It's just because my stuff or anybody else's, not just me, but anybody else's stuff is getting attention, that's taken away from them.
Right.
And they're in this for the wrong reason. Those people are in this for the wrong reason, but they're ruining it for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always those people. I'm sorry to say, there's always those people. And and I've told you this
that's
before.
With anything.
Yeah, I've told you this before.
Yeah.
I want to see everybody do great. And I truly mean that. I mean, my heart, I'm not going to sit there and tell you I'm better than you because I'm a paranormal investigator and I don't believe in Bigfoot. That doesn't do us any good. I want you, and like I've told you before, I want you to teach me why I need to believe in Bigfoot. Because I've never had I've only had that one experience I told you about on the road.
You don't even know what that was.
And I still don't even know what that was. But, tell me why. And I'm going to listen to you because let's go with you and a few other people. I trust your opinions and I want to hear what you have to share.
Well, that's the way it ought to be. I appreciate your opinions. See, we're having a good, healthy conversation. But would we be talking this way if we weren't on a public airwave?
Yes.
Yeah.
We would be.
Yeah, all four of us would. We've done it before.
Yeah,
Down
we've done it before. But 4 other people, they'd be tearing each other to shreds.
If you was out in let's say we was out in a big restaurant in Kansas City, and the four of us sitting at a table and we're talking about Bigfoot, the looks we would get?
Yeah.
Because they'd be going, are they crazy?
What what though? I have to say, him and I have had discussions about spirits and stuff in restaurants where people have overheard us and wanted us to take them out and show them.
Led to an investigation at a bar.
A bar and a graveyard.
Yeah.
With a news.
Well, sometimes you'll end up with that, but a lot of times they just look at you. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, I get offers all the time. Hey, if you want someone to go out with you one night, let me know. I'll be glad to go. Well, that's the last thing I'd do. I mean, out in the woods, that's a liability to, I've done one for hire event. Never, ever will I do that again.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if you ever do want somebody to go with you, I'm willing to go. I'm willing to figure it out and rough it for 6 or 7 hours out there, as long as it's not 12 degrees.
6 or 7 hours, you weenie? Come on, it takes longer than that.
Okay,
Hey.
well, however many hours.
We're out there all night.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
a couple
know.
of good
Mike
old
said they'll go.
Yeah, and there's areas you
that.
can go. And the thing is, if I was going to take you out somewhere, any investigator is going to take you out. Well, this is usually a pretty good area. I'll take you somewhere, nothing will happen, because that's how they roll.
Right, and they know we're there.
Yeah,
like paranormal investigating. You can go someplace where it could be really active, and then the next time nothing.
Yeah.
It happens, but
I took my wife to one of my research areas down in Ellington, and because she was kind of coddling me, she sees all my evidence and photos and charts and shit that are laying around here, and she goes, "Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you believe."
It sounds like me.
Yeah. No, let's don't be, condescending, my dear, wife of mine for 20 years. This type of thrill. She said, "Well, I believe you believe." I said, "No, I don't want you to believe that I believe. I want you to understand why I believe. So let's go camping." And she's been camping before, but I decided I was going to take her to an area where 90% of the time I always have activity. And you know what happens when you say that? Nothing ever happens.
right.
But I said, but she likes that particular area. So we went, and I just want to show you. And if they're in the area, you're going to know it. Well, we got there, and you have to park your car up at the top of this road, this little ravine. They have a steel gate across that you can't drive down there anymore. It's not allowed because it's too treacherous and rocky and sharp, and they were pulling people out of their four-wheelers too many times.
So you take your wife down there?
Yeah, well, I took her down because it's great camping. It's a great area. You just can't drive. You have to drive down to this area and go around the curve. So I parked my SUV. I backed it up to the gate. It was me and her, got a flashlight. We're walking down, and almost as soon as I'm there, she's going, "Oh, let's get out of here. I believe you. Let's go. I'm creeped out. I don't like it." It's hard. And I felt what she was feeling. So it's the heebie-jeebies, that hair on the back of your neck when you're in the presence of something. It's a good feeling. But I knew the Sasquatch were there. I knew they were there, and they were just watching this. I said, "I want to show you. We're going to walk down about 75 yards to the bottom of this ravine, and we're going to take a right. And where we end up is where I saw one disappear 4 or 5 years ago when I was leading an expedition for BFRO." So I take her down as we're walking slowly down. I got the flashlight. She's freaking out. She goes, "I'm going back to the car. You go ahead." I said, "Well, no, I'm bringing you here to show you this." So I said, "Look, the car is up there. You're fine." I shine my light where the car is. It's not there. My car is gone. I go, "What the heck? Where's our car?" And she's looking up there. "It's parked right there." I said, "No, it's not. It's not there. I'm shining the light right at it. It's gone." And she's looking at it and seeing the car where it should be. I'm looking at it, and it's gone. It's gone. And then I look down to where I'm going, just instinctively shine it down to where we're headed. And there's my car parked at the bottom of a ravine where it can't be. And she's going, "Okay, I don't know what's wrong, but we're out of here." No. Let's just keep going. Then I figured out what the Squatch were jacking with me. They were making me see my car where it could not have been. They were leaving her totally alone, and I was just making a fool of myself. And she was just watching the whole thing, going, "What are you talking about? The car's there." And I'm going, 3 or 4 times I go back and forth. The car's not where it was. It's down here. So, and then finally,
You've got me with is it mind control?
That's what I was getting ready to say too. I was trying to figure out how to work.
Mind control or
telepath.
Imaging.
I would say telepathy, or just a vision. That vision of my car being where it should have been was put in my head, and I was thoroughly convinced until I realized what they were doing. And after 3 or 4 times, my car's back up where it should be, and it's not down there at the bottom where it never was in the first place. But I knew that's where it was because I saw it. And I was going, and she was like, "What just happened? What?" She was just, and I'm going, they were jacking with me. I came here to show you and make a point, and I ended up getting made a fool of. which even shows you how much power they have, how much control they have.
Now, this is a good point. And I know you met Susan.
This is probably why we never.
So you met Susan down in Joplin, her and her husband, Mike. And
Yes.
so she's saying, so Bigfoot could stand in front of you and make you not see it?
It's entirely possible. Look at this.
Yeah, that would make sense right there.
Why this guy couldn't see it?
He never saw it. He never sensed it. He never felt it. He never saw it. He has other times, but this time he didn't. So could that have been a materialization? And also this photo right here,
Mhm.
I think it bumped the camera if it did materialize, or if it just showed up and had not materialized, but just came out of hiding somehow. Because if you look at the camera photo here on the bottom, these trees right up here,
Mhm.
you can't see it. You'd have to get the book. It looks like they're blowing. It looks like the trees are all going this way, like they're swaying in the wind, but there's no wind. I think that creature bumped the camera because the shadow is a little different. It's turned just a weird little way. You can still see this tree that's in the background here. You can still see it here in this photo. You can, and the shadowing is just
Right.
different. I think because the creature bumped the camera. That's just a working thing. But basically, I believe if they can change their vibrational frequency, if you read about Tibetan and the Buddhist monks, they can do that. They can levitate. I mean, they can do that stuff because they've put
I'd
themselves.
love to figure that out. I would love to do that.
And they go
That
to
would be
third,
cool.
fourth, fifth dimensions. They go to dimensions. They go to the 10th or 11th dimension. They just, they could be standing right there and they're in another dimension and you have no idea. And that's why this photo is so incredible to me, is because it had to have been either it materialized physically and bumped the camera, or was there all the time, or it materialized out of another dimension or changed its frequency and materialized and it still bumped the camera. That's one of those Sasquatch that didn't get the memo. That's why I think it might be a juvenile, because those hands look a little weird. Yes, I believe it is entirely possible, because too many rational, intelligent people are telling me this creature vanished. I watched one disappear myself in front of me on a thermal camera. It just vanished, just like a flash bulb went off and it was gone.
That was an amazing story when you told that.
Yeah, it just blew me away.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you had a FLIR. I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I had a FLIR. And, and so I was leading an expedition for BFRO, and where I was taking her, my wife, at the bottom of that ravine, if you just went around the corner, this creature walked from this ravine around the curve and into that trail that we were on. We were standing there in radio silence. We were waiting for a group, 3 or 4 members of the group. They got lost. They took a wrong turn. They panicked. They kept walking around. So anyway, we were sitting there waiting for them. And that's why I wasn't recording. I was just looking for a heat signature so I could see if they were coming.
Yeah.
So that's where I was taking her, was to where I had seen that Sasquatch disappear. And in that area gave me the heebie-jeebies, and her the heebie-jeebies, and I was seeing something that could not have been. That tells me that is an area that they reside and hang out at, And if you know anything about the conservation area there in Ellington, the Current River Conservation Area, they have like 50 food plots, which means you cannot hunt. You know what those are? I mean, you can't hunt on the plot. They have food source for everything from the most minute insect to the alpha predator. All the right foods, all the right flowers, all the right bushes, plants, everything that supports the entire ecosystem. From the little June bug up to the Sasquatch.
It is an amazing area. The people who got lost, their last name wasn't Donner, was it?
No. I have had those Donner cookies. They taste like chicken. You know,
I like the meme of who was it? The serial killer that ate people. And it said five guys.
Hannibal Lecter.
No, not him. The
Dahmer.
real person.
Dahmer.
Yeah, Dahmer. He's sitting there and they have him at a Five Guys and he goes, "No, I don't taste it." You know, I'm like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah. That's pretty bad.
But no, the Eminence area is a beautiful area. We went down Jack's Fork in a boat, you know, or in a canoe. No, it wasn't a canoe. It was a raft for us, but it was amazing the different areas that you see on that river.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And if you go down to Eminence, down there where Peck's Ranch is. Now Peck's Ranch is really spooky. When they were bringing back all the elk, they built 12-foot fences, containment pins.
Mm-hmm. They have to, because they'll jump that high.
Yeah, but what else can jump that high? What else can crawl that high? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that whole area is really unique. And that's why I love it. And there's, you know, if you're going down, I think it's 116 or 112, is it 112? It goes all the way through Ellington and goes on down, and you can follow it around. You can get to Eminence. But if you go down there, you go west of 116 or 112 instead of going into the conservation area itself. That's where it's spooky. That's where my action is down there.
Yeah, where we went was the state park there and the mill. We went to the mill. Mm-hmm. And so when we went, it was like 110 degrees that day.
Yep.
Bigfoot would have been stinking the place up or hanging out in the 60-degree water.
Yeah, sitting there in the water, just cooling their jets. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was cold water.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
But
before you get to the spring, it's not that bad. But after the spring, oh God.
Yeah.
Even 110, it felt cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so in this book, I just put all the weird oddball things that didn't make it in the second book. And my whole thing, and I keep trying to get to researchers and people to tell them this stuff is really happening. These people aren't making it up. It's really happening. So if you just don't care, that's cool. You have your own life and you're not interested in this kind of stuff. That's okay. But if you want to sit there and argue and say it's not happening because you don't believe it, that can't be because, well, it just can't be. Well, that's not an argument. That's not an intelligent discussion.
Right.
I think you're full of crap and I know more than you do. I mean, it's just nana boo boo.
Right.
I'm trying to get intelligent conversations going between, the apers, the non-believers, and the paranormal folks to share things, and it's not working very well.
Well, what it actually comes down to is, we paranormal investigate. I can talk to people that not in the paranormal, don't believe in ghosts, spirits, nothing, right? They either don't care or really don't want to listen. I can share experiences we've had and basically prove that they are real. Mm-hmm. But until they actually experience it, they don't care. They'll go, oh, that's nice. But I can see their point. They haven't experienced it. That's why.
Mm-hmm. And
when I tell them what's happened, the things we've ran into and what's happened, I actually ask them, "Will you explain that to me in a rational way? Then, how this happened?" Well, I wasn't there. Okay, well that
right.
makes sense. You weren't there, so
Well, we're going to continue this on after our break. For the ones that Carter, tell everybody where they can find your book in this first part, and we'll talk about it right after the break. But go ahead. Okay,
you can find my book, any of my books. Right now, I'm having a website built, so you have to go to funnybones442.cb at Gmail. That's my PayPal account, and you can email me or PM me and I'll get you the same information. But this book is $25 plus $5 for shipping. It's almost 300 pages, 290 pages, I think. A lot of good. It's all color stuff. I autograph it. It's all color, glossy paper. It's not the cheap, black and white paper. So it's a nice book. All my books are. I got 3 of them. So anyway, we can go over that again. I guess we're going to take a break. How long?
Yeah, we're going to take a break and everything. That way, the people in the chat room, in case they're busy on the second part, they know where to find your book.
2 minutes.
It's about 2
But
minutes.
everybody, you're watching the Bill of Rights Network over here at Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. Also, you're watching on Things Network and on the Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment Facebook page. So we will be back very shortly.
All righty.
The views expressed here are solely the opinions of the hosts and the guests, and not necessarily those of the network, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc. If you have an issue with the content of the show, please contact the show host. Thank you.
At the time Will Rondas was falling apart, I answered the call. I left and you called me a hero. When I returned, you didn't care. Now you treat me as an outcast? 22. That's how many of my brothers and sisters die each day. 22. Every day I struggle with my demons. Every day is a war that I feel I'm losing. Every day I wonder if I'll be number 22. I fought so you could keep your freedom. The least you could do is acknowledge my existence.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. So we're going to continue on with Carter Buschardt and some of the stories.
And you know what? And we're also being listened to live on Japan Paranormal.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that.
So.
Sorry about that, Japan Paranormal. Irene over there.
Konnichiwa.
Yeah.
Konnichiwa. Toyotaspaste.
Yep, better you than me.
But this is a project why we take a break in there because we're sending it over to another radio to be tested out. So we will
make an
continue
announcement about that when and if we can get that to happen.
Right. Right. So we're just checking it all out.
Cool.
But anyway, so let's see. Last time I seen you was down in Joplin.
Yeah.
Down there at the Paracon. Let's see what else. There. Okay, that story you did on the family that's in your new book.
Yeah.
Out there and everything. That all happened last year. So
yeah,
are you getting,
it's ongoing. It's happening like as we
it's continually going all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do they stay in touch with you still?
Oh yeah. No, I get something. I have 4 properties. I did have 5. I think one of them has just decided they just kind of want to be left alone with them and enjoy it. But I hear from them all about once or twice a year. I'll get a random photo or something like that. But they contacted me in July of last year, and that photo with the face on the pressed up against the plastic, that just happened a couple of weeks ago. It's ongoing stuff. So it's just bizarre. And these people, this is the thing that gets me. And I said this to my lady, who's also in the book, that she's been doing this gifting thing for 2 or 3 years. And she is interacting with possibly a primordial being from our past, possibly a human hybrid, but you're carrying on a relationship with your gifting. They're interacting. They're going back and forth with each other. She's put up a bunch of mirrors because it was my idea. I said, well, put up some mirrors because I think I've been having luck with it at a place here in Southeast Missouri. And she tried the mirrors, and they take the mirrors. She hangs them about 8 or 9 feet up the tree. They take them off the tree and they turn them so the mirror is not facing out. They seem to not like the reflection. She will turn it back out. They will turn it back in. Now what they're doing is taking the mirrors and laying them on the ground. They're taking them down from being nailed on the tree, putting them on the ground face down. And my thought was, you know, if I'm a Sasquatch and I've never ever seen my reflection other than in a pool of water, I might be interested in seeing what I actually look like. Well, they don't like it apparently, because then they started taking vines and running them through the holes in the handles and wrapping them around the tree real tight and wrapping that mirror around the tree so you can't pull the mirror off the tree. They're having a little tiff. You know what I mean? I mean, they're having a gentle disagreement. We don't like these mirrors, or we don't understand them. And so they're going back and forth. She undoes them. They tie them back up. They hide them. She goes and finds them or puts new ones up. And but it's an interesting dynamic. How exciting is that? How sexy is that? It's not. But for someone who's interacting with a being that people say doesn't exist or is just a dumb ape, she's been going through this for several years. It's just interesting as heck. Her chapter is about 50 pages in my book. You know, they've got so much stuff going on. They have an autistic adult son that lives with them. He's in his 50s. And he's seen them, you know, and so they have a word for the Sasquatch. They call him George. So anytime they say George, their son, if he knows something or has seen something, because every now and then he just doesn't say that, hey, I saw George today. But he knows who they are and what they are, and they are aware of him. But it's just, they're having these gifting and these interactions, you know, where they'll steal a pie and then they'll steal the apples off their tree, and then to repay them, they pull the head off a rabbit, washed it, and laid it in this little fountain that they have. So they knew they would see it the next morning because they cleaned their entire apple crop off their trees. So the next morning, they paid him back by giving him a nice, clean, fresh killed rabbit with his head popped off. Does anybody get the dynamics? You know, when people, when you explain this to people, they're going, "That can't be. What's baloney? Who does that? Nobody." But that's happening, and there's people going through this right now. You know somebody, you just don't know it. I know somebody, I just don't know it. Carl knows somebody, he just doesn't know it yet, that is having an interaction, and they're not telling anybody because they get ridiculed. So it just stays secret.
Or even if you're not worried, not getting ridiculed, and you're doing that, it's just kind of like, I'll put it in an example in the paranormal. Look at the lady over in England that married the ghost. Right? It's kind of the same thing. She knows there's a ghost, so that and everything. They know there's a Bigfoot out there, so they're doing something with it. It's no different.
Yeah, people just can't wrap their heads around that is going on. This being, and I have 2 different habituation families. Both of them, the women went out looking for the husband, and they heard their name being called, the nickname that their husband calls them. Oh. Hey, Poopy Bear. Cece, where you at? The Sasquatch are calling to the women in the exact voice, the exact verbiage that their husbands will do when they're looking for their wife out in the yard because they're out working in the garden or up in the woods. what do you do? You know, and it's just a matter of fact things. They were shocked at first, and now it's like an everyday occurrence. Her husband had seen Sasquatch about a half a dozen times. He was denying it every time. I didn't see nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. He finally admitted, I've been seeing them. I've been seeing the orbs. I've been hearing voices. I've been doing. I didn't want you to worry. You know, but he's been denying it for all these years, and so it's an ongoing relationship with a creature that does not exist. Is the coolest thing, but because and she's tickled, she's so excited, you know, but nobody will believe her. Now, some of the neighbors out there believe, but a lot don't. But they've got all kinds of Sasquatch activity, orbs. Her husband saw an orb that came into the bedroom, and it was kind of roiling around and like a little ball of, you know, dust and gnats or something. And then all of a sudden it just blossomed, opened up, and there was this Sasquatch just kind of floated out and was floating over the bed, and then went back in and floated up and then just disappeared.
Well, that's kind of like we were
So
talking.
what do you call these people, nuts?
Yeah.
So what do you do when you hear, you know, at some point, and all of us as investigators reach this point where you go, at some point, I've got to decide to believe these people or not. And if I believe them, I'm in with both feet, unless you prove to me you're yanking my chain. If you're yanking my chain, I'm going to write another book all about you and embarrass the crap.
What do you believe Bigfoot is? Is it paranormal? It's a earth animal? Something to do with aliens? I don't know.
Well, the alien.
What do you think?
I believe they are a human hominid hybrid of some type. That's what the DNA tests that are not suppressed by the government are saying, that they are. And there was a real good. You ever watch?
How do you explain them? How do you explain them just up and disappearing?
If you can change your vibrational frequency, you can either disappear or you can appear to disappear. You know, the cloaking and the here's the thing I put in the book also. Nobody believes they can do that. How can they disappear? Well, you know, look at that piece of coral down there. Look at that piece of coral in the ocean right there. And you're looking at it. You know what it is? It's really an octopus that has disguised itself to blend in with the coral. Chameleons, earthbound animals, can make themselves disappear or appear to disappear. They blend in.
Yeah.
You can't even see them. So why cannot a Sasquatch do the same thing? Nobody can have it both ways. I believe they are some type of hybrid creature, and that has mastered things that we used to be able to do as humans, and some humans can still do it, you know, with meditation and chanting and things of that nature, and changing your vibrational frequency. You know, well, Ron Moorhead will make a convert out of just about anybody, because he can explain the paranormal and the quantum aspects, you know, better than I can. You know, there is a really good show, Missing 411. He did a thing on a DNA study. If you watch any of his Missing 411, David Paulides, look up a show that was done recently. It's a DNA study. It is fantastic. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. But basically, DNA, when it's not been tampered with by the government or anybody else, it is female human donor and unknown primate male. They kind of leave it there because depending on the DNA type, if you get it from the hair, you have to have the entire follicle, including the root. Otherwise, you don't get the DNA. So if you get like a piece of meat off of, you know, like someone cut, a Sasquatch cut itself, and it, got caught in a barbed wire fence or whatever. There's a piece of skin and some hair hanging there. That's where you get but the mitochondrial DNA tells you more about the parentage, but if you don't have what they keep saying, and which is saving the debate for now, is they don't have a type specimen for Sasquatch. So even if they found an unknown hair or skin tag, we have nothing to compare it to. We don't know what that is. That could have been off of.
But if several of them have sent it in and they come up with this unknown, do they check to see if the unknown is the same?
Yeah, matching
set
they
to the
They have
unknown?
matched a few of them. That's why I'll try. In fact, I'm gonna make a note and just find that DNA thing. It is fascinating and it's really well done. And they run into the same problem. Well, we don't have a type specimen, so it's an unknown female on the mother's side, and it's an unknown hominid of a type donor on the male side. They know they're only telling us X.
Right.
I guarantee you they know. So, but it's really fascinating. They have about 10 or 11 samples that are like cannot be classified. They cannot put it anywhere. Well, that's
Well, it's like
samples
going back to what we was talking about earlier, how intelligent these beings are, right? Like that story you was telling me, if you want to tell it, about the burial of their pet.
Yeah. Cassie Lynn, well, I'm glad you break for Sasquatch.
And you met her too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was down there
in Joplin.
Yep.
I'm trying to. Well, the hat's throwing me off.
Yeah, she's a cute little blonde, prettiest face, great smile.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not kissing up.
Oh,
she does. She has a great smile.
Does she live in Lenexa?
She lives in Leavenworth.
Leavenworth.
Okay, well, I do remember her. Yeah. So
she is memorable. She's got a great sense of humor.
Awesome. I'm just a smartass. We might get along.
Hey, like I tell people all the time, my first language.
That's probably why we get along with.
Yeah, my first language is sarcasm, and everything else is just gravy.
Yeah. So,
Right.
Carl, what would you ask me the story about? Oh, yeah, the burial.
The burial.
Yeah. Okay.
How they watch and they know what's going on or learning.
Yeah. Well, okay. My other Sasquatch family that I'm monitoring, they've had 20 years of things going on, and at one point they brought their the wife. She brought her mother and her single wide trailer and put her on their property. They have like 200 acres, so she could have her autonomy and be self-sufficient and reliant, but they could keep their eye on her. And she was, if you walk out the front door of their house, 25, 30 yards right over that way, that was her home. And so, and she had her house slapped a lot of times, and she'd seen how, creatures in the woods, and she'd seen them. She was used to it, but she understood they were there. So she had this old dog, and the old dog was just old and feeble, but it was always by her side, grandma, And so every night she took it out to let it go do its business. But one night she took it out, and there's 4 or 5 dogs in this pack of wild dogs surrounded the dog, and they were going to tear it up. They were going to kill it and eat it. There's a pack of dogs in this area that just, the pack of dogs, people just, breed dogs and they just go everywhere. And so they're always around. They were circling this dog and they were about to take it down, and she was trying to get her phone number to call her daughter, who was just right across the way, but she's too nervous and freaking out. All of a sudden, this scream and roar comes out of the woods, and those dogs bolted and ran, and they were never seen again. It was a Sasquatch taking care of the dog. Well, that happened a couple of times. A few years later, the dog dies. They bury the dog. She buries the dog right out there in the front of her trailer so she can watch it. And they went into a Lowe's or wherever they got their flowers, and they bought 18 potted carnations, nice ones. And they put it all around the dog's grave and evenly spaced. Said their prayers, took a picture, and went outside, and that was it. Come out the next morning, all the flowers are pulled out of the holes. They're laid neatly next to the hole. Each carnation, there wasn't damaged the roots or the stem or the flower. All the flowers have been pulled out and laid next to the hole, and the flowers were all facing out like a rays of sun. And the mother, my witness, she called me and says, "What happened?" I said, "What happened?" She was trying to tell me what happened. And I said, "Well, slow down, tell me." I said, "Well, they don't bury their dead. They don't mark their graves. They don't want you to know where they're at because they don't want someone to dig up the grave. So they just put a big rock in the middle of it and left it there, and that was it." But I said they don't bury their dead and they don't mark their graves because they don't want people to dig them up. So when I was out there visiting this new family, I was telling them this story. I said, "Don't put flowers on the grave of that cat. Just put some rocks or something." So that's what they did. But long story short, this last time, about 10 days ago, when he caught that juvenile in the greenhouse again, on its way out the door, it threw a bouquet or a bunch of collard greens on the grave of the cat, as if to memorialize. Because when I was there, the cat had just had like 5 or 6 kittens. And so there was cats all over the place, and they all look exactly like the mother. They're all this, light brown, white, blonde, anyway, they're all identical. So
like how it goes.
But they were, as they have done other things, they have shown respect and for the life that ebbs and flows on a daily basis out in the woods, on a farm, on a growing operation. I mean, it was just bizarre. Who would make that up, and what creature without some kind of sentient, sapient, emotional state would do that? I mean, just here's some
Well, what animal or something like that would you think would be that intelligent enough to recognize it's a grave? Most animals, you bury something, like dogs, you bury something out here in the yard, they'll dig it up.
Yeah, might be food.
Right. And stuff. But, I asked that question because it's, in one way, it's showing how intelligent they are.
Yeah.
They're watching and learning everything that family does down there.
Yeah. And they're involved in their life, and I mean, there's structures down there. They've got 4 families. They all live within about 2 or 3 miles of one another. And they just found out that another guy they know, they are pretty ostracized in their area. That's the crazy Bigfoot people. They think there's Bigfoots everywhere. And so even the rural folks, they got their own way they judge people, the way there's a hierarchy. So that's the Sasquatch people. That's the moonshine people. That's, they got their little hierarchy in their groups. That's
right.
How they do down there. So, but they are ostracized, so they have to be real careful. But they just found out that a guy who has been in a group that has ostracized them, but not this guy, he says, "I got the same thing going on. Just don't say anything. I got the same thing going on at my place. They're coming in and stealing all my vegetables." And so they're opportunistic, but they're intelligent. It's just bizarre that these people are having these relationships with these beings, and nobody thinks that much of it. Number one, you think, well, that can't be. But number two, they're interacting with a primitive version of humans that could go back tens of thousands of years. Isn't it just crazy to think that? It excites the heck out of me. I don't know if it excites anybody, but it's just like a ghost or Dogman, Mothman. You can't believe it because we're all taught how to think. First 20 years of your life, everyone, Denise, Ron, Carl, Carter, everybody was taught how to think. First 20 years of your life, From the day you come
Mhm.
out of the birth canal to the time you get out of high school, add 4 more years if you go to college. So you're taught this can be, this can't be, that doesn't exist, this won't happen, this can never happen. So when you see something, you immediately go, well, that can't happen. You blow it off. You try to explain it away or just go, well, I must have been seeing something. Maybe I had a bad sandwich or something. Oof, I don't know. That couldn't have been. So by the time you get to that point, you've blown it off or decided you're not interested or just don't ever revisit it, But those that are curious, then you want answers and then you start digging. So that's where we are. We're just, we've all been programmed to do nothing because we know everything,
Well, what's really interesting is the one family you're helping that's got the greenhouses. It's got the juvenile down there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're a young enough family. Now maybe we'll find out how long it'll take a 6-foot juvenile to grow to full height.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever looked at it that way. How long
Yeah.
does a baby Sasquatch take from the time it's born?
What are their lifespans?
Right.
Exactly.
So how long is it considered a juvenile? What is a juvenile, a teenager, an adult?
How long do they live?
6 foot, I would say it's probably what we would call a early to mid-teen.
Teenager, yeah.
Yeah, we're in the teen area because that head, this head face print is around 10 inches around.
Well, they're at the age they know everything.
Yeah, and they want the keys to the car and an allowance.
Well, and then on the other hand, you got to look at it this way. It was young enough that it has to eat a lot of vegetables instead of getting to the meat stage yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's why the parents were outside watching for it while it was in there eating.
Yeah.
So there again, nobody knows what size a baby Sasquatch is when it comes out.
Yeah.
Thank God.
The ones that, yeah. Well, the ones the ones that are obviously the parents, they're saying they're in the 9 to 10 foot range. This one, when it ran out the door, it had to duck. So that's where it got the 6.5 foot to 7 foot range. Now, 2 of these other, well, I don't even have them in the book. So 2 of the other head prints were like down on the ground, like at the foot of the door, at the threshold of the door.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it was this one that you saw and another one, or 2 different ones entirely. And this third one is the older of the set. But they've seen the parents, they've seen this juvenile, and they've seen a couple of smaller ones. So it looks like
there could be some toddlers. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they've seen what they consider to be a family of 5. You know, 2 big adults, another big male, this juvenile, and they've seen 1 smaller one that they think is 3 or 4 foot. And there's a footprint in there too. The footprint is nothing big, but what it is
it was right outside where
it was right outside. It was 30 degrees. What it is something running around barefoot in 30-degree temperatures. So I mean, it's just another example of it ran out and left a footprint.
Yeah, I do that. I go out and check the mail in my stocking feet in the winter.
Yeah, that's why.
No wonder you're sick all that. No wonder you're sick all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't put my shoes on for that. It's just I don't want to wear shoes.
That's the walking she does.
Yeah. So
I put my slippers on and go out.
They've seen this family and they're watching their daily life, and they seem to be moving around from farm to farm. Now, most of these people don't farm. These guys are farming because they make their a considerable side living going to the farmers markets on the weekend. Making all the cakes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a big deal out in a lot of their areas.
It's
out
a
in
big
the
deal.
rural America, yeah.
Yeah, especially here. And
it
where
makes a house payment. I mean, it's a good income for them, you know. So it devastates them when they were taking their food. But, you know, so this family and others are having relationships. People are seeing them disappear. Oh, you guys, at that conference I saw you at, Joplin, that there was a woman and a friend. There were two scientists. They came up and told me they had an hour and a half to 2 hours of missing time.
Yeah,
I remember
that.
you
Yeah, I
talking
remember
about
that.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember talking to them.
Yeah, the one lady, kind of shorter, glasses. I think she might have been Hispanic.
Yeah.
And her friend, her and her other friend, the taller
Yeah.
lady that was with her, they're both
Welcome.
PhDs.
Yeah, I know they were interesting ladies.
Yeah, and the two ladies that were with them, that were sitting in the back seat of this car, worked for the same scientific company, but they weren't degreed, but they were educated.
So were
Right.
they affected by the same loss of time?
Yeah, they all noticed
All
the
of
loss
them were.
time.
So
I remember her saying that.
Yeah.
now this makes me wonder.
Yeah, I talked to
The
them.
company that they work for, is it a scientific company? And if it is,
Yeah, it was
are they doing
the
testing on them?
There
they
Yeah,
was
could they
multiple
be
ones.
experimenting?
Yeah, no, what they said, they were at a conference in Texas and they were leaving, and they left at 8 o'clock, and about 8:15, 8:30, they saw a Sasquatch running alongside the car. And they're like, what? You know, they're just freaked.
I
And
remember.
it's running alongside the car. And so they speed up to try to get away, and it speeds up. It's keeping up with them. They're like 45, 50 miles an hour on the highway going due west to Oklahoma.
Sound similar?
Yeah.
It was at night.
No,
And
it
so
was
then
Oh,
they
yeah.
slow
Yeah,
down.
you didn't see
They
it.
slow down,
I saw
and the
some.
creature runs by them, stops, looks around at them, and then runs across the highway. And they pull over, and they're going, "Oh my God, what happened? Did y'all see that?" Blah, blah, blah. Long story short, they all look at their clock, and it's almost 10 o'clock, and they left 15 minutes before at 8 o'clock. So hour and a half. It's 10 o'clock. They lost an hour and a half. Here's the best part. At least 2, if not 4, professional skeptics are now believers, because as a scientist, you are worthless to us researchers because they don't exist, and I wouldn't tell you if they did. Well, she was going, they exist. Oh my God. They're like, she has no argument if she did in the past for their lack of existence. They saw them. They could not explain it away.
Have they gone back to try to recreate this at all in the scientific method?
She didn't tell me that they had. I think they were just too spooked, and they were out in the middle of somewhere. You know, I don't even think they knew where they were exactly. They were just leaving Texas, headed back for Oklahoma. Crazy story, but she was just very forthcoming. I put that in the book because I had another witness who had 6 or 7 hours of missing time with a Sasquatch up in the New England states. He and his German Shepherd, 6 hours.
That's
where
quite a while.
He was running from a Sasquatch. His attack dog, who was trained, cost him thousands to training with the police. This killer German Shepherd just stood there.
So he said,
He
Can't
just stood
touch
there
that.
looking. He didn't do anything. So him and his dog, they run into a trailer that he has on his property. He's remodeling his house because his wife has just had a baby and is having another one. So they're remodeling their house so they can all move into their cabin. And so he's living there and staying in a trailer while she's staying with her parents. And so they run into this trailer when they see a Sasquatch coming at him. And he realizes he doesn't have a gun, and he didn't have it. So he went through the kitchen in this 32-foot travel trailer, grabs a knife, hides in the bathroom with the dog, and he's standing there with this knife, waiting for the Sasquatch to come in and just rip him to shreds. His dog's leaning up next to him. This is about 11:30 at night. Next thing he knows, 5:30 in the morning, he wakes up. There he is, still like this, like it had just happened. Dog was leaning up next to him. They were both still staring at the door. He was completely refreshed. It was, you know, if you're sitting like this for 7 hours, you know, you're going to be all
you'd be stiff.
Yeah.
He was like, like it just happened. I mean, literally, like it just happened. And
So to him, it was like this, but yet to the outside world, if they were watching him, they'd have just seen him sitting there like this for hours on end.
He woke up at 5:30 in the morning, and the only reason he woke up because the workers who were working on his house were showing up to work and making a bunch of racket. It's an incredible story, you know. And I've done hypnotic regression, you know, because of an event that happened to me in my life. And so I said,
do you recommend that? Do you recommend hypnotic regression?
Yeah. I'm just now listening to my tapes again after almost 20 years. I haven't listened to them. But he does not want to know. He says, I don't want to find out I had a Travis Walton type event.
Yeah.
I don't want to know that I was molested or explored or whatever they do to you when they abduct you. I don't want to know that. I like my life stupid and boring, and that's just the way I want to live. That's what he said. That's good logic if you don't want to be burdened with it.
Well, it makes sense for a lot of people.
Yeah. And so that story matches the story about those two ladies that I just told you guys about, and you remember them anyway. Mm-hmm. And I've got other people with missing Sasquatch time. So there's something going on with all that. There is something afoot. There just is.
Yep, it's a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So, again, you always make me rethink some of the stuff that I think and some of the stuff that I say.
That's the same thing that's happening to me, because, you know, when I got into this, I was with a bunch of, you know, guys that they're just apes. They're just dumb apes. Undiscovered gorilla. Undiscovered ape. That's all it is.
So I'm going to ask you this question again. I know I've asked it before.
It's okay.
What camp is Bigfoot? Is he primate or is he mammal?
Primate of a type.
Okay.
More human-like. You know, they only look. The apes that we're calling apes now, the gorillas that you can go to the zoo or go see in Africa, are like, these are not those apes. They are an entirely different species of a hominid human something. We're just missing the boat on that. You know, the government,
they'd almost be like history tells us about a caveman type person.
Yeah,
what they would be more like.
A vestige of Neanderthal, Cro-Magnon, you know, Denisovan. I mean, there's a lot of mixes that go in, but when they do those DNA studies, like I was telling you about, none of that comes up. They have purported Denisovan, Neanderthal, and Cro-Magnon DNA based on, you know, bodies, petrified, you know, stomach remains and things they've gotten. They pretty much know what they are, what they ate. You know.
Well, they found recently. I read an article about a hybrid that one species. Well, I don't know if it's a species or they were having children together. So that the mother was one and the father was another, and that they were able to interact and have children. Yeah. And that's how, you know, how we all became, you know, survival. I mean, I guess how we moved on through the evolution from, you know, this, you know, how we moved on. So it was a really interesting story. I just read it like last week. And so it was really interesting how they determined this from DNA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's just fascinating. And the problem with the DNA is that information isn't going to get out unless they want it to get out.
Right.
Just like the Tic Tac video. Preadamites. No, April, I have not heard of that.
I haven't either.
Enlighten me.
No, I haven't heard of it either.
Well, she'll
Is that pre-Adamites?
Pre-Adam. it looked like.
Yeah, that's how she spelled. She
That I would
phonetically
consider as a caveman.
or somebody before Adam.
A
Maybe
caveman.
one of God's mistakes.
Yeah.
I don't know. But April will enlighten us. She is a great cousin to enlighten me on things that I may not know anything about.
But what I'm trying to do with this book and do with the last one, I did like 52 podcasts last year. I've already done 7 this month. Well, I'm doing one Friday and one Monday, but I mean, it's crazy. Ancient texts speak of a human species created before Adam. Yeah, and then when you start getting into the biblical aspect, then you get into the Nephilim and other
the giants and all that stuff. Yeah.
vestiges, and there could be a connection biologically, but I don't think it's a spiritual or religious connection in the scheme of things, because these, and there's another book you should really read if you really want to get a smoking gun and start scratching your head. It's Everything You Know Is Wrong.
I think you told me about that one before.
Yes, and you didn't rush out and buy it. What's wrong with you?
Because you're wrong.
Yeah, and it's by Lloyd Pye, P-Y-E. And his son wrote the follow-up book because his dad died. It's called Everything You Know Is Still Wrong. It goes into great detail in describing how the human DNA was manipulated by the Anunnaki when they came to the planet Earth hundreds of thousands of years ago to mine the Earth for gold so they could plug the atmosphere on their planet. Gold is used in a finite number of ways, but it is a great way to plug holes in things. Gold dust will solidify your atmosphere because they were having trouble with their atmosphere on their planet. If you believe the book, they came and mated with the humans that were on the Earth. They boiled it down through many, many matings until they got the hairless humans, which is us. We were enlightened enough and given enough cranial capacity to make decisions without rebelling and trying to take over the operation. And so that is where Sasquatch and humans diverged, if you buy the story, that when they came and manipulated the DNA, the Sasquatch, who were the original people living on the planet, and the humans mixed with the DNA, they boiled it down. It takes a lot of open-mindedness to believe it, but it's a really and the Sumerians have this on all their texts. It's really fascinating. It's just another chink in the armor of how come we never know this? How come we're never going to know this? What's the big secret? The whole thing is, if they are just dumb apes, what's the big secret? Mm-hmm. New species of plant life, fish, rock, minerals, atomic particles. They're being discovered every day, every week. You read about, we found a new monkey in Madagascar. We found a new, gerbil in Australia. We found a new bird in the Amazon. You hear about all these. If it was just a dumb ape, like everybody's saying, what's the big secret? Okay, we got a possible relative of man. We're going to have to shut down all the forests because the lumber companies can't make their money, and so it creates all these other problems. But there's a reason they don't want us to know who or what they are. It goes beyond.
It just makes you wonder what that reason is. Is it because it's going to blow up everything that we think is right? Is
everything that we've been
that we were told
and taught
how to think?
And then what about, like you said, will it injure industry of some sort?
Yeah.
Will it, will we find out that this property that we've all been living on does not belong to any human? It belongs to Bigfoot.
It doesn't.
Or whatever his their I guess their pronoun is their.
Yeah.
What their that this is their land, that they own it. We have, and what do we do then? You know, there's a lot of different things we could think of. And
Reparations.
yeah, reparations. There we go. Reparations for Bigfoot.
Mhm.
But I do want to say one thing. Susan, I need you to get pictures of Mike using that snowblower that he bought that he may get a chance to use
Yeah,
this
is it
time.
snowing down there?
So it looks like on the radar it's snowing in Springfield, Missouri.
And they got bad storms down south.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I know.
Big time.
Eastern Texas, boy,
Texas.
was getting hit hard down there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's my neck of the woods, Dallas, Texas.
Well, and I know April, that she's in Wisconsin. She's always got snow. I'm surprised it's not snowing in June.
Yeah.
So
It will.
We
When
got-
June hits.
We got all of this stuff
Yep.
going on, you know, all these people having interactions, people reporting all kinds of things. And they're dismissed if it doesn't stay right down the middle of the highway.
mhm.
You know, nobody wants it to be anything other than what we tell you it is. And it's not fair. And we know this stuff, you know. I've seen stuff that's just, you can't explain it, you know.
$8 a gallon.
And so what do you, at some point,
Thank you, Joe.
you got to quit caring about what a lot of people think is one thing, because those people will trash you in a heartbeat. They will cut you.
Yeah, they'll throw you under that bus faster than they can hit the gas.
Yeah. So we have to, and that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna kind of, like I said, I'm when I get my webpage, all my interactions with people are going to be through my webpage. Very little on social, because these people are just
Right.
nasty and painful. There's no reason.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've seen.
Yeah, they're called trolls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
haters,
Yeah.
haters and trolls.
Most of the people are on social media are trolls, so they
Yeah.
got nothing else to do.
Mm-hmm.
But gawk
But-
at their phones while they're driving. I see it every day.
Yeah, they're
Yeah. It's pretty
And-
bad.
you know, those that are holding the secrets, the paper company, the lumber companies, science, the government, they love the turmoil because it just keeps us from getting anywhere. As long as we're infighting and spat with each other,
Again,
We're
goes back
screwed.
to the way our
Yeah.
world is right now, and I wish it wasn't. I
Yeah.
wish that people hadn't decided that they wanted to fight over every little thing,
Mhm.
such as,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we can go back to 2020, 2021, where people were fighting over the littlest things and not paying attention to the things that were really happening out there.
yeah,
And
well,
they-
that's the whole idea.
They had us all infighting over our opinions,
Mhm.
which we're entitled to.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get into that because it'll get us blocked.
Oh yeah, no.
My body, my choice.
I'm going
We
to keep
all
it
know
vague.
what's kind of going on, you know.
What happened to that?
So, yeah, what happened? But
Yeah.
that's a whole different thing. But
Yeah.
again, it's not just it. Your situation is not isolated.
No.
It is in every single subject we talk about. There is something. If I sit there and tell you that the sky is blue, there's going to be somebody out there that says, no, it's not. You know, it just is what it is. And
Well,
I don't know why.
if they came out tomorrow and had a big meeting, a big conference, said we got an important message. This is the big government talking. Aliens are real. Bigfoot are real. We know all about this. You'd still have half the people would be like, no,
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
They'd say, oh, that's fake news.
Right.
Well, those are the people we'd be eating for breakfast, because we'd have to eat somebody, and they will not. They have chosen not to be enlightened. So,
So-
they will be,
so-
There's some people just they're closed minded, and
and that's part
and
of
even
it
when you
too.
give, you talk politics or anything, even when you give them the facts, they still don't believe it.
yeah.
Right.
They don't want to believe it. They want to believe what they want to believe.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the problem.
That's
Mhm.
right. And you know,
Even when you give them the facts, they don't want to believe it because it doesn't fit their narrative.
and this
Yeah.
is going to be an unpopular opinion. Of course, I always have unpopular opinions. So how come this is supposed to be a field where everybody's going, be open-minded, and they've got the most closed minds of any group of people I've ever met.
Yeah. Well, because they all want to be first. Everybody wants to be the one.
No, I want to be right.
Well, yeah, they want to be.
Everyone should be right.
They want to be it, and it's competition.
Can she post that picture up? Or
Kelly, we'd love to see your picture.
Yeah, Kelly, if you could send that to the Bill
we'll
Rights
put it up
Network
here and let everyone else look at it
in a messenger, we could put it on here.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. So,
okay.
Let's see, what time is it? Carter, where can everybody find you?
Usually I'm standing in front of Victoria's Secret just drooling.
I'm sorry. You and Johnny Rollins. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That was a professional question.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, right now, if you want to get my books, best way is to email me, and I'll tell you, because I'll give you a price break on all 3 books, or if you just want to buy the one. But if the best way to communicate with me, it's a lot easier, is email me at sqexplorer@gmail.com. sqexplorer@gmail.com. It's real easy. And actually, that's going to be the website name, sqexplorer.com. But it's under construction. It should be a couple of weeks. I got a guy working on it right now. And so SQ Explorer, that's it. If you want to buy a book, or if you want to tell a story, if you have an event that you need to discuss and you cannot talk to anybody in your family because they're laughing at you or making fun.
Pictures, evidence, anything.
Yeah, just email me. I'm open-minded. It's all discreet. No one will ever know who you are, where you live. They will never know anything. So we can discuss philosophical ideas. What do I think they are? What do I know they are? What am I? I'm wide open, and your secret is safe with me.
Are you going to be speaking at any events this year?
I was going to say, what do you got coming up?
I've got one in, let me see here. I've got one in Little Rock. I think it's July. I have one in Overland Park, Missouri. I think it's August.
Kansas?
Overland Park, Kansas.
Okay.
There's one in up at the airport.
Okay.
I'll have to send you that because it just got cleared up. Eureka Springs, Arkansas, June. I'm doing the Dave Scott show up in Vegas. He's doing a little convention thing up there in
Eureka Springs?
May.
Is that in June now?
No, that's a different one.
Oh,
that's a UFO one.
Oh, that's right.
And I'm doing a KCI Expo. It's a big paranormal, KC Paranormal and Spirit Fest. So I'm doing 4 of those this year. And I'm speaking. I'm speaking at all of those.
Okay, and that's the one that's in Independence at the Hilton Garden Inn.
Yeah, I don't know if they're doing it there this year. I think they're moving it to Overland Park because we had issues with them.
Because I'll tell you, there are no events in Overland Park that are paranormal related ever.
Yeah,
because we live. Well, you know where we live.
Yeah, I know. Well,
at least for now,
we're doing one. It's at the. Doubletree Inn, August.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. That's right there on 69 and 435.
Oh, yeah, it's booked. So it's a 2 or 3 day. So I'm speaking at all those, and I usually post I just posted it a while.
Yeah, you do.
A week or so ago. I'll post it again on my.
Well, we're gonna have to try to make sure that we see you before we leave the area.
Where y'all moving?
Yep,
Where?
we're moving to Florida.
Yeah, we haven't. Nothing's done yet.
He have faith. We're moving.
You're moving to Florida.
We're moving to Florida. I need to be by my grandkids.
That's where we like to go.
Well, yeah.
We haven't sold our house. We haven't found nothing. We haven't.
It's not going to sell right now anyway.
Nothing's.
Well, it might. I've been selling real estate for 26 years. It's slowed down and prices have come down, which I'm glad.
Right.
Artificially high. The
Yeah.
interest rates have come down a little, but not enough. But the prices of homes are still high, although they are dropping.
Right.
Well, in Lewisburg, we've got one thing going. There's not a lot of new houses here,
Yeah, there
and
will
people
be.
want to live here.
Yeah. DeSoto kind of got filled up, so they're going to go south. They're going to go more south now because they were.
Yeah, it's a good school district down here.
Yeah, it's good schools.
Yep, and we're working on it. So,
Did you get there a message from Kelly?
Not
Carl?
yet. Not yet. I didn't get the message, Kelly.
let me
That's
see.
on the
Oh,
Bill
I think
Rights
she sent it
Network on-
to.
Go to
She
Bill
has-
Rights Network on Facebook.
Oh, got a video from Susan.
Let me see here.
Is it filling it up? Is that Mike filling it up with gas?
No, it was just the snow coming down.
with a
Let's see.
with a
Where-
mad look on his face.
I think Kelly may have
I didn't
sent
really
it
want
to
to.
Carter.
Didn't really want to use this thing. It
She
just
may have
bought-
sent it to my Facebook page. Let me see. Real quick here.
Here we are all hunting our email, but we're near the end of the show, Carl.
Hey, I just sent
Yeah.
you that face.
Oh, okay.
Pop it up if you want.
I am doing that. Come on.
This will.
No,
I've
I
never
haven't
seen-
received anything from her yet.
I've seen photos that are like
You sent
incredible.
it to an email. Where did
I
you
sent
send
it
the
to,
email to, Kelly?
Denise's
I got yours.
PM private message.
I'm pulling it up now.
Be up on the
Kelly, if
screen.
you're going to send an email, send it to borntv@mail.com.
So here's
That is
that is an amazing picture
It's just mind blowing. It reminds me of
too.
Steppenwolf
okay.
or something. But if you blow that up, you can see the hair growing out of the skin and being swept back. I mean, its hair is pushed back because its face is pressed up against the plastic.
You know, it kind of looks kind of like a lion's face as well.
It looks like what?
I mean,
A
to me,
lion.
A lion. Okay.
kind of like a lion,
Yeah.
an African lion, which
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
know there are no African lions down there.
Yeah.
There is here
Well-
in Lewisburg. We do have a couple.
It's Kimba.
This person also has a tiger on a trail cam down in South Missouri.
Really?
Like I said, it doesn't surprise me. We have a wildlife sanctuary just down the street.
Yeah, well, the wildlife sanctuary, a tornado tore it up about 10 years ago, and a lot of
Yeah.
lions and tigers got away out there west of Branson.
Yes,
And
I
when
saw. We know where
I
that
heard about
is.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of lions and tigers got away. They think they got them all, but that area was deserted for a year or two while they cleaned it out and tried to rebuild it. When they rebuilt a housing development out there, there was Sasquatch everywhere. People were complaining left and right. In fact, they quit selling houses there for a while. They're having an issue. But look at that face. I mean, that you just look at that and you go, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, you can see
I know, it's amazing.
hair on the upper lip.
Yeah. Just don't share this electronically. It's all I ask.
I
It's in the
won't.
book. But
I
this is
Right.
yours to have, of course. But I mean,
Right.
you just stare at that and look at it. It's just, it's amazing.
It is
Mhm.
amazing.
And these are just innocent country folk living their life, and they're dealing with a family of Sasquatch. What the heck? Is that just freaking awesome stuff? That's why I do this, because the 1 in a million shot, that's not the photo of the century. That's not going to prove anything,
I hate to say this, but that is actually the best evidence I've seen, period.
That's
Yeah.
what I was getting ready to say.
Because, the footprints can be misjudged. You can step down in it and I can move my foot back and forth and I can make that foot bigger and bigger. And if it's cold out, when it melts, it can make it wider. There's some things out there that I've seen happen but I can't explain that away.
No, I can't either. You know, I've looked at it. I mean, I've blown it up, you know, and one of the cousins down there is actually a Bigfoot researcher. He just got into it, you know, and they are just crawling all over his property. He's just beside himself. He doesn't know what to do. You know, he's got all this activity. So that's why they call me, you know.
Did they take any other pictures?
Huh?
Did they take any other pictures?
The only one he got, like I say, I've got other photos that I didn't show because they're just not all that great.
Yeah, I would have took some pictures of inside the greenhouse.
Yeah, well, I've got pictures of the greenhouse inside, but all I did was I want them to send me photos because I'm trying to design a camera trap for them.
All right,
they've got some other photos of you know, the cat's grave, and you know, he just didn't, you know. And here's the thing. He went out there that night when that creature ran right by him and brushed up against him. He's got his camera phone out with the light on. He had a phone with a camera in it in his hand, and he couldn't do it. Too much crap just happened right away. I mean, you're in shock.
Yeah.
In my last book, I had a one of the BFR report. I had a professional, world-renowned photographer got hired by Texas Monthly Magazine to go to Texas, take pictures of a certain species of pine tree with the light filtering through it because you know, they were doing a special. So this guy has a camera around his neck and one in his hand. Long story short, he's in a clear cut, waiting for the sun to come down just a certain way so he can get the right photo of the light filtering through these pine needles of this kind of rare pine that doesn't really grow in Texas, but they found it there. And so he's standing there waiting for the sun to get to this certain area. A Sasquatch walks out into the clear cut. They're staring at each other. He freezes. It turns around and walks back into the woods. He has a camera in his hand. Hey, buddy, he's getting $2,000 a day. He couldn't take the picture. He was frozen. And that's a professional. He's been in wars. He's been like to, you know, Syria and all these places with war and killing and death and mayhem. He's taking pictures left and right. But he's standing right there staring at a Sasquatch, probably 20, 30 feet away. He couldn't do it. Perfect opportunity, professional photographer. What do you do with that?
Well, it's because it wasn't expected.
No, exactly.
You know, the other stuff to him was normal.
Yeah.
This is not normal, and it usually scares the living
daylights
out.
Oh, yeah, because they're all sitting there going,
yeah. Well,
they don't think about going snap, snap,
you're in the
snap,
car,
snap.
you're driving right by, there's a Sasquatch.
Yeah, I'd snap a picture and then going in the shock.
Yeah, you're too caught in the moment to do anything. So I understand totally. And this guy was embarrassed but honest with me. He said, I've been to war torn. I've seen people blown in two right in front of me with, you know, and I'm in war countries taking pictures for National Geographic. I'm standing right there staring at a Sasquatch. I can't do it. That's a photo of a lifetime. I couldn't do it. I didn't even think about it. I was going, oh my God, what is that? Is that, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this opportunity gone.
Did you get the picture from Kelly yet?
Huh?
Carl?
Nope.
No.
Well,
Didn't know where it went.
Didn't receive it in the email or anything. Hi, Jeremy.
If nothing else, we can look at it next week with our guest Primo Paranormal out of St. Louis. So,
Awesome.
Well, near St. Louis anyway. Yeah. They don't live too far from Morse Mill.
It once put the website up for she may have missed. I don't know where it got sent.
There's things going on that no one believes because they've been taught they can't happen. So they just don't exist. They don't happen. And nobody wants to talk about it. And if they do talk about it, they make fun of it because they don't understand it. So that's the purpose for all three of these books is there's stuff going on. You hear about it, but you just don't want to believe it because you don't believe it, you know, but you've been taught that it can't possibly be, but it actually is happening. So that's my whole reason behind these books, you know. And if you've ever written a book, you know, you make zero money on these, you know. I gave away half my order to all the people that were in the books. You know, there's a girl in here who watched a Sasquatch, a 5 Sasquatch herd about 50 to 75 deer. They went in and slaughtered deer, and she watched 5 of them. This was like midnight one night. All walked out of the forest with deer over their shoulders. She was like 16. Yeah, just stuff that is happening, and you don't hear about it because it doesn't exist.
Right.
Right.
Well, or it's not supposed to exist.
Yeah, ghosts. You know, government. You know, flying saucers don't exist. They don't exist. So it's something else. Oh wait, no, we lied to you. They do exist. We had to lie to you for 80 years till we decided we've monetized it and made enough power out of it so we can go ahead and release that information. But Sasquatch doesn't exist. But it will one day when they decide they want to let us know, because they can't lie anymore. We're getting too close with our information and research, you know.
Well, you know, it is someday, some way, people will start to believe what's in front of their face. And, you know, like they say, don't believe everything you read and only half of what you see. But, you know, start thinking about that. Be skeptical of what you're hearing and seeing, but still ask the questions and be open-minded.
Right.
At least a little bit. Let someone in.
Yeah, open-minded just means you'll consider it. It doesn't mean you believe it. And you don't have to tell anybody that you have an open mind. You can stay with your closed mind. That's all baloney. It never happened. And I will not tell anybody that you at least looked into it. It'll be our little secret. Shh. You're still cool. You're not a crazy person. You know, because that's what it is. Everyone's afraid of being ridiculed. So they say nothing, you know. Both experiencers and those that are thirsty for knowledge, they don't look into it because they're going to be made a fool of. If they haven't had an experience, they're not going to look into it anyway. You know.
Yeah.
So it's a horrible thing, but it's just fascinating. You know. Oh, this kid with the face and the vegetables. He was also gifted a piece of quartz. Where did he say that quartz was lifted? Oh, he left him some apples. He started a gifting station. They took a half a bag of apples, and he got a little square piece of quartz. It's about, inch by inch, inch and a half. He sent me a picture of it. Just stuff like that. It's a relationship. We know we took your food, human, but all I can give you is this rock.
The shiny rock. So.
But, you know, I'm sorry, that's the best I can do. That's all I know. But it's tit for tat. It's giving and taking. So I took your stuff. I know that means a lot to you, but you can grow it everywhere. We can't get these foods. We can't get tomatoes and apples in the woods. We have to come steal it from you because that's the good stuff. We don't get that. So we have to steal it from you humans. But here's a piece of rock, and here's a bouquet of collard greens that I stole from you in the first place. Here, you can have it back and put it on the grave of the cat.
Yeah,
Right.
you know, they got to keep from getting scurvy too. So
yeah, but the whole thing is it's a back and forth. And they're like putting up with these recalcitrant kids that are irritating and stealing their stuff and getting in their stuff. It's a relationship. It's a parent-child relationship, except, you know, the child is 7 foot tall and you're 6 foot tall, and he's going to get 2 feet more taller and you're going to shrink, you know?
Right.
So it's just the dynamics are what's fascinating, you know. And the lady over on the other in Washington with the stuff that she's got going on, putting up, you know, with the mirrors and food things going back and forth. The thing with the lady in my book, they eat the apples and then they put the cores back in the bag and hang the bag on the tree. Let's be neat. We don't want to soil the earth. It's just weird little things because they see them doing that. When's the last time you see an animal eat an apple and just throw it on the ground? I mean, they're eating it to the core and then putting it back in the bag. It's just fascinating. I know you guys probably got to go.
Oh, that's all right, Carter. We want to thank you for being on the show tonight.
No, it's
and
been a
everything.
blast, guys. This is a nice open conversation. I like this.
Hey, you're welcome back anytime.
Yep.
Okay.
Anytime you
always-
want to share something, you want to come on, just let us know, and
Okay. Well,
we'll
hey,
drag you in, screaming and hollering.
yeah, no, it's great, you know. And once I get the website up, I'll have some other graphics and things I can share with you. It was just too hard to do it here, you know.
Yeah,
Right,
please.
right.
We'd love to, make sure that we get your website
Yeah, we
out
like
there.
pictures.
Yeah. A
Pictures
picture is a
say
great
a
thing.
lot.
Let's
Yeah.
say good night, everybody.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank
Susan,
everybody
Mike,
in the
Cassie,
chat room
Kelly.
for joining us.
Barbara.
Thank you, Japan Paranormal Facebook page, Temple of Phoenix of Rising Entertainment and Things Network. And always check out the Bill of Rights Network. We have a lot of shows over there going on. And make sure you check out Denise's show on Monday nights, The Paranormal Pride, here on the Bill of Rights Network. And who's your guest this week?
My guest this week is going to be Frank Bennett, and a guy he's a singer as well as a paranormal investigator. His name is Caleb Bartel. For the first hour, and the second hour is going to be Frank Bennett.
Right.
So it's going to be fun. And next Tuesday night, we have Primo Paranormal out of St. Louis. And Bobby Adams, that's on that team, is he does hypnosis.
Yeah.
And then John and Terry, they were volunteers with us at the McPike Mansion.
Good. We
So
got a lot of great guests lined up for the next week or two. So
Oh, yeah.
lots of it. Well, we want to thank everybody in the chat room. Everybody have a good night. And we will see you next Tuesday night here on Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. Have a good evening.
Take care, everybody.